Welcome again from your friends at Tutorial Finale. I'm going to go in a little bit of another direction today. Probably a little bit of a rabbit hole for many of you, but please indulge me. You'll probably see the lights just over my shoulder here. One of a number of cabinets and part of the story, the history, if you like, of what took us all the way through to Finale. I think it's an interesting story. I'm going to share it in any case. Glasses, the most important part of the kitchen and the part that you'll all be using when you ultimately open a bottle of our wine. Today, you all know what you're drinking from. You know the size, you know the content. Let me show you one. Here, one of Riedel's wonderful products, but that today is a standard size glass. Over my shoulder, what you can see is a range of glasses which we've collected over the years, all of them produced in 18th century England. You remember that famous period when the Georgians were noted for drinking like absolute kings and consuming such enormous quantities that everybody thought it was basically the era and the age of the drunk. Well, I think I've got to try to correct matters on their behalf, albeit posthumously. Here is today. Ladies and gentlemen, here is the glass of the 18th century. Can you imagine? You can sit and sip pretty much all day and probably still not consume the sort of volumes that you would actually manage to put away in a normal get-together with your friends in today's world. But this one is interesting because this, as an example of the whole era, look at it, it's a work of art. Look at the way that it's been crafted. Produced actually by anything up to 5 individual young craftsmen. You'd have the master sitting in his chair, rather like I'm trying to do at the moment, and actually stage managing the whole process of production. And then you'll have one young fella at a furnace, and that furnace is almost certainly going to be driven by wood or charcoal, and they will be producing the bowl. The master will call that young man over to bring him the bowl in hot glass. Another one will have produced the foot, and he will also be invited to bring the foot so that the pieces can be put together. And in this middle part could be one or probably even 2 other young men who have produced individual sections. And it's the master's job to put all of those pieces together into such a form that anybody would be proud or excited to have that sitting on their dinner table. Now, you may well ask, 18th century? How on earth are there so many examples still available? Well, that's a fascinating story, but you've also again got to put it in the context of the English country house, and indeed even the great houses of the continent, because there were wonderful glass factories in Germany, in Saxony, in Holland, in France. But in most cases, if you consider that the average cellar in a grand country house in the UK would have held anything up to 6,000 glasses, then you have some idea of why even today there are examples still available and the history of the wine glass is still open to us. Start with that. Begin prior to this in having drunk some wonderful wines over the years. Isn't it altogether logical that we ended up at Tutorial Finale? I hope you think it's the same, and I hope at least, despite the diversion, it's something that you'll find a little bit of interest in. We'll be talking more about our wine, however, in further programs.